So I'll just for the audience that is here, I'll just lay out how we're going to run through this. So the goal is that this is going to be essentially a not too long space, probably about 30 to 40 minutes, where we're going to cover a bunch of different items. So for the first 10 minutes, we're going to go over breaking news from the weekend, a few on stocks, one on crypto. Then at 9:30, when the market opens, we're just going to do a little bit of market at the open. At 9:32, Parrot is here. Parrot is going to talk about, just what he's looking at this week, what's on his radar, maybe any stocks that he's looking out for, anything like that. Once Parrot finishes, I'm going to do about 5 to 6 minutes of option plays that I worked on with my friend Shark. And then after that, we're going to go over earnings, major events, dividend dates for the week for about 5 minutes. And then we might hit the FinViz heat map scanner. That comes out at 9:45 for those who don't pay for the services. So we might just take a look at that, see what's going on overall. Obviously, it's looking a little rough from the futures perspective. And then at 9:55, we're going to do a quick Kathy Woods uh 2 3 minutes, what she's been buying, selling, that type of stuff, and then meme of the week and tweet of the week, which were crowdsourced. If you go to my page, you'll be able to see where we crowdsourced both meme of the week and tweet of the week. With that getting said, stock market news, are you ready?
Yeah, dude, that was the perfect amount of stalling I need. I'm here, ready to go, excited for the week. Got some big stories for you guys.
Cool. Well, without further ado, let's kick it off with some news stories.
All right, here we go. So it was kind of a dry weekend. I had to wait for this morning to get a bunch of these stories, but we got some good ones flowing through. So the first one to talk about is American Airlines. So a lot of you guys have been seeing the TSA numbers ticking up. In May, 50 million U.S. people went through TSA. That it was up 19% from April, and so far in June, that is at 35 million travelers. So a lot of people are traveling. We are picking it back up and ramping up, but there's some concerns happening here. So more or less, what's been happening with American Airlines is they've had to delay and cancel some flights, not due to demand reasons, but due to logistical reasons. A couple of flights were canceled a couple days in advance, but a bunch of them were canceled same day of due to things like unavailable crew or stuff like that. So on Saturday, American Airlines had to cancel 120 flights, and on Sunday they had to cancel 176. Now, for some perspective, that's only about 6% of flights on those days, but it still kind of shows a problem that they're having as we start to ramp back up into full blown travel demand. These companies might have to catch up, and there might be some growing pains along the way. So just be on the lookout for that. I would be shocked if it's just an American Airlines problem. This seems like an industry wide problem that's going to be hitting these guys. So just be on the lookout for companies and these airlines having some logistical problems going forward. Next story I want to talk about is this one came out from over the weekend. One of the few things that I saw, it was kind of an article which I could share with you guys. Feel free to send me a DM and I'll hit you guys up with anything I have here, anything I source. But pretty much the most owned semiconductor names by hedge funds and active fund managers. So the numbers I'm going to be giving out to you, this might be a little bit of a dump, but it's the percentage of fund managers that hold these semiconductor names. So the article talked about the top two being NVIDIA and Texas Instruments. NVIDIA is owned by 44.2% of fund managers, which is actually down. I wanted to say it was like something between like 15 to 20% relatively from its last quarter. So there's that. And then Texas Instruments was up to 42.1% of ownership. So those were the top two. I just want to read you guys off a couple names below it, and then some names that the article pointed out as that it flagged as low institutional ownership, but the market cap was high enough where it should have been higher. So there was a couple names like that. So first off, next, a little bit of a numbers dump. Again, ask me and I will send you the article. Qualcomm is owned by 38.3% of fund managers. Applied Materials hit a record at 31.6% of ownership. Intel and AMD, which are linked competitors, Intel is at 26.3%, and AMD is closing that gap now at 24.6% ownership by fund managers. Lam Research was another one, in KLA Corp, which were both ones that set records relatively for where they're at. Actually, I'm sorry, Lam was down from 28 to 20%, and KLC is at 17.2%. A couple of semiconductors that the article pointed out was Microchip, which has a $40 billion market cap, which would indicate based on their models it should have a 15 to 20% ownership, but the ownership was at 10%. And then it also flagged Skyworks, Corvo, and Teradyne as in similar situations. So we have one story about Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, but I'm going to skip over that really quickly, let Gav come back to that. And I'm going to skip over to our one crypto story of the week. And this one is possibly the reason crypto's moving lower. They always love to point to China banning stuff as the reason for it. But over the weekend on Friday, Southwest China province, I'm not going to do the name, but a province in Southwest China ordered to halt all crypto mining, joining a couple other regions in China as the country goes kind of more on a national lockdown on crypto. The article I was reading, again, I will link it to you guys, was saying that now 90% of Bitcoin's mining capacity is estimated to be shut down in the short term. So that's kind of a big deal for everything that's going on. Possibly a reason for the crash in crypto over the weekend, but you can never be too sure. But just something to keep an eye on, and seeing if now that we're at this point where 90% is shut down, it's kind of a going forward. See what's going to happen going forward. If all these crypto miners going to stay shut offline, or if they're going to be able to come back. That'll be very interesting to see, and I'm sure very important on the price of Bitcoin. But Gav, if you want to take the MicroStrategy story.
Yeah, I'll close off with the last story for now, and just waited a few minutes till people were in here to introduce myself. But my name is Gav Blacksberg, and I'm the COO and the voice of Wolf Financial. So it's a pleasure talking to you all this morning. Real quick, one more story on Bitcoin. So Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, that is ticker MSTR, bought more Bitcoin last week. They bought 13,005 Bitcoin at an average of $37,617 per Bitcoin, which means that they are hurting this morning. For a total of 489 million. In total, they now own 105,085 Bitcoin at an average price of 26,080 per Bitcoin. So that's a total of 2.74 billion, but that might have been before some of this stuff went down. Oh, I guess that's the price that they bought it at. It's definitely appreciated since. And given that the current price of Bitcoin is 32.4, although it's violently moving, those 105,000 Bitcoin that they own are up or worth a total of 3.4 billion, representing 663.75 million in profit. Basically a 24% gain on the investment, and they own about 0.5% of the total Bitcoin supply. And it was really interesting, actually, that last week Michael Saylor got on and did a Twitter space, and he got like the CEOs of Riot and Mara and a bunch of others to come up there, and there were about 5,000-6,000 people on that space. So that was pretty interesting to see. But with that, and then lastly, there were approximately 92,000 Bitcoin that are being held by MacroStrategy, which is actually a subsidiary of MicroStrategy. So a little bit of fun wordplay for y'all there. All right, we have about 1 minute until the market's going to open. I just want to go over real quick. So for everybody, we are almost exactly halfway through the year. The halfway point is going to be on the 2nd. If you just are kind of checking things out, the NASDAQ is currently up 8.86%. S&P is 10.93%. Dow is 8.77%. Bitcoin is up 22.85%. The 10-year's up 51.9 bips. And many growth stocks are unfortunately down. So that's kind of the overall for the market. We're at 929. All right. Evan, stock market news for the 9:30 open. Do you want to kind of cover that? I guess when that comes out in a minute. I have the FinViz up, but I know that won't go up until 9:45.
Yeah. No, I'm here. We still got an extra minute or so, a little bit less until the bell opens. The stream I'm watching, which has a nice heat map showing the direction, is a little bit delayed, so it might take an extra minute after that. But I just want to go back and just quickly touch one thing on the MicroStrategy story that really, really shocked me, was seeing that they own about 0.5 of the total Bitcoin supply, which 0.5 doesn't seem like that much, but when we're talking about Bitcoin and this huge, decentralized, I have air quotes up, and this huge system and everything like that, to see a company with 0.5% ownership was kind of very surprising to me, and I didn't expect to see that number, but kind of crazy to see how much Michael Saylor believes in it, and kind of how he's been able to position his company to really, really go full in on Bitcoin. It's kind of interesting.
Yep, we're looking at market open now. I know it's market open because my DMTK calls have plummeted. All right. Are you seeing anything at the open you want to cover?
Nothing really. I'm seeing stocks moving a little bit higher at the open. Not too much, but they are moving a little bit higher. Kind of, actually, I'm seeing my Apple, Amazon, and the big tech names move a little bit lower, but it looks like a bunch of the other guys are moving down with it. I'm seeing like Uber, Disney, Alibaba moving lower. We got National Beverage and Foot Locker moving higher. So it seems like a pretty decent mix at the start. I hope that we can actually remember to look at the FinViz thing, because I think in 15 minutes will be really interesting to see the how each market, how each sector opened this morning. But it's looking like a pretty mixed open so far.
All right. Well, I see similar things. So let's go ahead and let's just turn it over to Parrot for like 5 to 8 minutes. Parrot, would just love to hear from you, really a little bit of a freestyle, what you're looking at this week, what you're eyeing, and if there's anything that stood out to you from the weekend.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, really just still looking at Curie from Friday. It's kind of interesting. I was looking at maybe trimming that position last week, and then I didn't, and then it plummeted when it got downgraded. So I am still positive in that position, but kind of taking a second look at that at maybe trimming that. As far as what I'm looking to buy this week or looking at, Home Depot's been interesting. Been keeping an eye on it the last couple of weeks. Target has been about 290. I think it'll hit eventually, but it's had some support around 300. It's hit it a couple of times, so it may not quite get there. So we'll see what it does this week. If I get it, I may start adding if it hits 300 again, just to start that position back. I think I trimmed out of it at about 335, 337, something like that. And then stock market news mentioned Qualcomm. I think if you've read my newsletter, my last newsletter, I mentioned that. Keep an eye on it. The pretty attractive PE ratio compared to its competitors. So haven't pulled the trigger yet, but still looking at it. I think the PE ratio is about 19 versus like AMD is 34, which I do own. So let's see. Other than that, Acuity Ads, actually, they announced that they did close their IPO today, so hoping maybe it'll get some traction. That's ATY, the new ticker. Looks like it's down a little bit this morning, but keep an eye on it. Hopefully, we get some movement there. Enthusiast Gaming, also think it should be near the bottom, but it's down some more today, so we'll see what it does. I've got to believe that thing's got to run here pretty soon. So. Other than that, just kind of watching what's happening. My account looks like it's moving the wrong direction so far. Today I'm down about 1%. So hopefully you guys are having better luck with your tickers this morning.
I got Bitcoin in my account, so it looks a little bit uglier than it actually is, but very interesting. I'm a self-proclaimed nerd, so Curiosity, this stream, for if anyone doesn't know, I'm gonna call it. It's a streaming service for nerds, for people like me. I love all that documentaries and ancient stuff. So Curiosity Stream is actually a product that I do enjoy. It's a stock that I don't own, but it's very interesting hearing people with it. And I will say the product for a self-proclaimed nerd is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. It's actually, I've heard a lot of good things about it. That's why I owned it. It was up about 25% though before the drop on Friday, and for me, my position was, and it's just kind of one of those in between positions where there's some other things I'd kind of rather own at this point. So, but now that it's back, dropped, I don't know, I think it dropped 15% last week or so. So now it's kind of back at that valuation where maybe I want to hold it. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet.
Let's talk. Oh yeah, sorry.
You go. I was just
gonna say, let's talk SE this week. What are we looking at?
Let's see. It goes up every week, right? That's the goal. It's down this morning, but I think it's on a trajectory to get about, I think 310, 320, something like that here pretty soon. Hopefully, if it stays in the up pattern, we get there. So just looking for continued growth there, continued bullishness.
Well, if I could quickly just give a shout out to Parrot. I've been following him for a while. I've seen his account grow. He's very transparent. He always posts how his account is doing. So I really watched it grow from, I don't want to throw out arbitrary numbers, but I do remember him passing 1 million. So if you guys definitely want to check him out, his Twitter is awesome. Very, very transparent with everything. So just make sure you guys go give Parrot a follow.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks. Yeah, unfortunately it's went back the other way now, but we'll be celebrating again hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think just to finish off this segment with 1 to 2 more minutes, for anyone who hasn't seen, Parrot does write the Stock Squawk. So think the last one was when to buy. Was that, or was there
Yep.
one since then?
Yep.
Okay.
When to buy.
So
Yep.
last one was when to buy. Could you give us kind of the 1 minute, 1.5 minute takeaways from when to buy?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, just going through kind of the things I'm looking for, both fundamentally, and then the technicals. When to looking for the dip. I mean, the basic stuff that most people talk about on FinTwit, but kind of putting it all together and how each piece kind of plays into each buy. So it's not just the dip, it's not just fundamentals, it's not just technicals. They all play together. So
Absolutely. Definitely a full package. You can go check that out. I think link would be in Parrot's bio, correct?
yep, yep. You can find it
Cool.
in the pin tweet or in the tagged bio. Yep.
Also, shout out to Max Bezenko, who is currently listening and just informed me that Shop is near their all-time high. I know that's a stock that a lot of us are a fan of. They're sitting at 1476.50, up 12% in the last week, 17% in the last month, 31% over 3 months. So that stock is moving. Looks like their all-time high was back on February 16th at 1474. So this might be an all-time high. Fantastic. Awesome. Parrot, thank you so much for coming up today. Feel free to, sit here. We're going to run another 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to start covering some option plays now. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Of course. All right. So these option plays are coming from Shark of Traders. If you would like more info, he has a Discord. But for now, the real thing to point out is that there's a lot of unusual options activity. And we usually find that unusual options activity through Unusual Options, the whale account, if you can look at them, unusual underscore options. And I'm just going to go through a little bit less this time, maybe 10 this time. The first one we are starting with is going to be LVS. So for those that are unfamiliar with LVS, that is Las Vegas Sands. And for Las Vegas Sands, we're looking at August August 20th. Oh God. We're looking at August 20th calls with a $57 strike. Basically, here's the current pivot points to watch if you're going to try to day trade this. And by pivot points, you're looking at something similar to a resistance or a support. So for the longs, if the price crosses up over 53.49, that would be the spot to go long. And then for the shorts, if the price crossed down through 52.71, right now it's actually sitting right in the middle of those two. So it has not actually crossed either of those. And then what's called a POC is the point of control. And this is actually based on from TrendSpider, if you're looking at TrendSpider. So shout out TrendSpider. I actually have a meeting tomorrow, one of the days, to learn really with a one-on-one. That's something that they offer in their premium service. And that point of control is $57.76. Then the next stock that we were looking at is ticker symbol C. That is going to be Citigroup. So Citigroup is currently trading up today about 2%. They are at 68.90. And we are looking for them. The longs are looking for the price to cross through 68.21, which it has. So if you were going long on Citigroup, it looks like it has already broken out through that resistance. And then for the shorts, that price crossing back down to 66.91. So right now it has broken through its resistance, and the point of control for there is 71.83. So point of control being, I guess, the staunch place that you would see a movement either way. And then we have CCL. I'm pretty sure many of us are familiar with CCL. That is going to be Carnival. This was long time traded by all of the traders in quarantine. So Carnival, I'm just loading the data right now for it, but essentially we're looking for a long of 28.56. That would be the resistance, and then the support of 27.77. So CCL is not loading on my screen, so I do not know what the price is, but you're looking for either 28.56, 27.77, and that call is going to be a 7-9 call, so that is going to be July 9th at $29 strike. And also, I didn't say it for Citigroup, but the call there was also a 7-9 call, and that was at a $70 strike. So the next one is going to be also pretty popularly traded. That's CLNE. So that's Clean Energy Fuels. For Clean Energy Fuels, they're actually just plummeted 4% today. So they might have already broken through the support. So they're sitting at 1134 currently. For them, they're getting close to it. So the support is 1122. So they're already at 1134. So if you're looking for something to go short on, it's about to go through there. Again, none of this is financial advice. We're going to have a lot more legal disclaimers that we'll put out soon. But for now, take my word for it that I am not licensed to financially advise you. For CLNE, that is going to be a $15 strike. This is for if you were doing a call at 7:16, and that would be if they cross back up through $12.15. So right now they're at 11:37. They just bounced a little bit, so we'll see if they come back up to 12:15. And then fifth, we have our good old buddy PLTR. We are looking at short-term calls here. So this is weekly calls on PLTR if you are a ballsy person. PLTR is sitting at 24.66. They're down about 3% this morning. These weekly calls, the resistance would be up at 25.87. So it would need to come up a little bit over $1. And the support was 24.95, which means it has already broken through support. So it may not be great right now for the weekly call. Or if you're the person who's saying, listen, it's gotten it out of the way, it's coming to come through, and you want to wait to see if it reverses during the day, it might be an option. And that is actually, its point of control is right at 24.79. So it is sitting right around it. And then we have Workhorse. So Workhorse, we're looking at a little bit farther out calls. That is 7.9. So that is going to be on July 9th for WKHS Workhorse. Workhorse is currently trading at $14.62. So we are looking at $15 calls. The longs, the resistance is 15.25, so obviously it's down today. It did not cross through. It did not cross through the resistance, and it did, I think it broke through the, no, it didn't break through support either. It's sitting right inside of the two metrics. So Workhorse is still bouncing between its resistance of 15.25 and its support of 14.38. And then I'm not going to go through a bunch more today just because I want to well, actually, I'll go through a couple more. I only have a few more left. So Cisco, CSCO, we're looking at 7.2 call strikes of $52. Support for that is going to be 51.69, and the resistance is 52.65. So CSCO is currently trading at, let's see, $53 exactly. So it is currently above. It has crossed through its point of resistance. So you can look at 7.2 calls with a $52 strike. So again, that's not very far out. So just understand that when you're doing these calls, you're going to get destroyed daily by the theta, which is the time premium. Essentially, the longer out you buy your calls, the less money you're going to inherently lose from your time premium each day because it has a higher probability of reaching that potential strike price. Number 8, we have eBay. So eBay, we're looking at 7.2 calls with a $67 strike. So just pulling up the eBay price real quick. eBay is trading at $64.05. So it is through. It has crossed through its point of resistance, which was 63.86. So it's already up today 1.2%. It has crossed through. So looking at those 7.2 calls at $67 strikes. Then we have Trip. I'm pretty sure this is TripAdvisor, right? TRIP. Yeah, TripAdvisor. They are down today about 1.7%. They're sitting at $40. And for Trip, that means that they're not there yet, but they're very close to their point of support, which is $39.95. They'd have to come all the way back up to $41.38 to cross through their resistance. And then just two more, hang with me. We've got KR. So KR is Kroger, big grocery store chain, and they are up 1.5% today to $39.33. And we are looking for them to cross through $39.24. So there you go. Kroger has also crossed through. And by the way, this is kind of 9:45 right now, where we're coming up on is one of the ideal times. Usually it's good to wait about 15 minutes to see how this unusual options activity plays out. But now things are usually where a lot of option traders will hop in. So at 7:16, so looking at Kroger, this is actually, it has crossed through its point of resistance, but we're looking at more of a bearish formation here. So if you look at it over the 3 months, it's sitting right at its all-time high. So I don't think that we're super confident. I think that there was a lot of people that are putting put options on that. So the put would be, this is switching up from the calls, the put would be at a $37 strike. And that is for KR Kroger, $37 strike for 716 put. But just a reminder, it has already gone up higher today. It has crossed through its support, so you may not want to do that just yet. It's crossed through its resistance. And then the last one I will be throwing out there today is Coinbase. So let's see what's going on with Coin today, see if it's being affected, kind of like Riot and the rest of those. All right, price for Coinbase is not pulling up for me fast, but we're also looking at a put when you look at Coinbase with a $200 strike for 7.2. So again, just about 2 weeks. And the current pivot points to watch for the day traders are, if you're going long, that resistance is at $232.49. And then for those going short, you want to see it cross through 226.3. And if it does cross through 226.3, you'd be looking at that 7.2 put for $200 strike. And that is that for that section. So I'm going to turn it back to Evan to run through a couple of earnings, major events, dividend dates, but we also, I believe, we have the Finviz scanner out. Yes, that is out. So I'm turning it back to Evan.
All right, I'm back. What's up? Gav, it's funny. I heard the New York City traffic in the background. I heard a couple taxis honking at one point, which is funny to hear. So yeah, guys, let's start with earnings, then we'll move to the heat map, and we'll kind of do ex dividends and some economic calendar activity as well. So this week we got some decently sized earnings. We have, I just had it up, but we got Nike, Accenture, FedEx, Carnival, Plug Power, Blackberry, and I could go through the tickers a little bit. And I kind of want to explain through two of them. The two I chose were Nike and Blackberry, kind of a mix of the biggest name and a hyped up, kind of, we'll call it Wall Street bets, meme stock, but whatever. So we're gonna start with Nike. The current quarter expectations are EPS of $0.51. That is down 43.33% from last quarter of 90 cents, but that is up pretty significantly year over year from Q4 of 2020. This is their fiscal Q4. So for Nike, I'm going to say Q4. Just kind of recognize that is this upcoming quarter. But for Q4 of 2020, they reported negative 51 cents. So it's a pretty big increase year over year, but still down quarter over quarter. For revenue, their analysts are expecting $11.08 billion. That is up 6.9% quarter over quarter from $10.36 billion, and that is up 75.6% from the $6.31 billion reported in Q4 of 2020. But obviously, it's important to realize that was in the middle of a pandemic, and everything was shut. A lot of retail was down, so the comparison is definitely beneficial at this point in time. We'll see how it moves forward, but they do still have to report some good numbers. So you should be expecting those earnings out around 4:15 p.m. They do tend to come out on a couple of other services around 4:16, 4:17, so just be on the lookout for that. And then they'll have an earnings call following that at 5 p.m. EST. If you guys ever need to look for earnings calls or anything like that, just type in the company name and then investor relations after. So in this case, Nike Investor Relations, and we'll bring you guys right there, give you all the information you need and allow you to get some really great info from the horse's mouth from the company itself. So that's pretty awesome. Looking a little bit, yeah. So and another number to watch, guys, is gross margin for Nike. That is something that is, a lot of analysts will look at. Last quarter, it came in at 45.6%, up 130 basis points quarter over quarter. And then for Q4 of 2020 last year in that pandemic quarter, it was 37.3%. So just be on the lookout for that number. It could affect some things. But yeah, that's a good number to look at. And then let's move over to Blackberry, which is also Thursday after the market's closed. Thursday after the market's closed is definitely the day this week. So just, have fun on that day. That's all I could say. But so for those numbers, we have the current quarter expectations are EPS of negative 0.05. That is down from last quarter of 0.03 and down from year over year of 0.02. For revenue, they are expected to report 171 million. That is down 18% quarter over quarter and down 20.1%, I apologize, year over year. You should expect those numbers to be out a little bit later than the other ones, mainly around 5 p.m. And then I didn't have a time for the conference call, but generally when they come out as late as 5 p.m., the conference call is the next morning. So I would expect that possibly Friday morning to come out. Now let's move over quickly to the heat map, which I did post to Twitter at the open, and it's changed a little bit since. So you could see at the open, it was very nice. Gav, if you want to quickly tag it up here, I can actually. But it was a solid open. Most stuff was across the board. Obviously, at the open, it's a little bit for stuff to kind of magnify and to grow out from what it is, if that makes
You want me to
sense.
drop a screenshot?
So I posted the tweet. So if you want to just go in and
Oh yeah, I got you.
it's the second to last tweet now. I got another one up, but it's changed a little bit since then. We had Apple, Microsoft, Google, Tesla all open slightly in the green, up less than 1%, kind of sitting in that 0.2 to 0.3 range. And then we had Amazon, Disney, Netflix, Nvidia, and PayPal open up slightly down. So it's changed a little bit since then, but that's how we open. And I'm going to shift over to the market performance by sector. We have basic materials, energy, and industrials leading the way. And then we have utilities, communication services, and technology bringing up the rear. So one of those good old energy up, technology down days it's looking like at the start, which we know FinTwit loves and lives for. I'm going to quickly switch over to check the best performing large cap and stocks at the open, at best and worst performing. So as I tick over to best performing, we have AMC number one at the top, up 5.3% so far. That's actually 10 minutes delayed, so then it could definitely change a little bit. But AMC opened the best. A couple other names in here that you guys would know: Stellantis. They own a couple car brands: BioNTech, Steel Dynamics, L Brands, Nucor. A couple of the best performing ones at the start, and then as I switch over to worst performing, we have VIP Shop leading the way with Korea Electric and XPeng right behind it. Some other popular names you guys might know in here: CrowdStrike, Bilibili, Cloudflare, Sunrun, Affirm, AppLovin, Wix, SoFi, SolarEdge, Teladoc, Coinbase, Nvidia, Pinterest. So just by looking at this chart, I could tell FinTwit is not having the best morning. I could look at my stock account and tell me that, but you could kind of see the direction of how the market's moving based on what type of names are where. And the popular names I see online are in the worst performers today. So just be on the lookout. Could always change, but it's one of those good old close the market mornings. So let's keep moving. This time I'm going to do a little bit more of a shift and switch over to dividend ex-div days. So pretty much that is when the stock will start trading with the dividend priced in. So you guys have to own it by that day. So just looking through it, the Monday ex-divs are Broadcom and STM Micro. So that is Broadcom's ticker is AVGO. ST Micro is STM. For all you Burger King and restaurant brand lovers, they go ex-div on Tuesday and the ticker is QSR, along with Total Energy, TOT. Wednesday, we got Carrier, Vivi, and Vivendi, which I kind of did cut out the story earlier, but Vivendi had some news about it with them and Pershing Square about their combination with Universal Music Group and some weird stuff with that, basically kind of making a SPAC, making it 10 times more complicated and going out there. So just if anyone is curious about the story with the PSTH SPAC and Vivendi for their Universal Music deal, just send me a quick DM and I could try and explain it to you. It's very complicated, but they came out with a nice shareholder letter this morning to try and explain it with some nice visuals. I'm a visual learner, so it definitely helped me, and I would love to pass it along to you guys. So moving on to Thursday, this is the day. We have Canadian Pacific, CP, Danaher, DHR, McAfee, MCFE, Medtronic, MDT, Philip Morris, PM, TRO, TROW, and then Vail. And then Friday, we have some big names as well with General Electric, GE, and FedEx, FDX. So again, those are all ex-div dates, the day before the record date, and the day when you guys got to own the stock to get the dividend. So yeah, let's just keep it moving forward. Now we got the economic calendar, which I did see earlier. I believe Gav gave them a quick bright shout out, but Unusual Whales, they tweeted out something earlier talking about exactly when all the Fed people were going to be speaking this week, and it looks like we have a pretty packed week of some Fed talk, FOMC members. We have 2 people scheduled to talk today, 2 people scheduled to talk tomorrow, including Jerome Powell, and then one Wednesday, one Thursday. So we got a nice a nice long week of some Fed talk coming. As far as the economic calendar, we have existing home sales coming out tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have new home sales along with some market manufacturing PMIs. Thursday, we have initial jobless claims and continuing jobless claims, along with a GDP revision and then some trade and goods reports. And then Friday, finally, we're going to wrap it up with some personal income, consumer spending, and some core PCE numbers, along with the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. I will be honest, a lot of you guys may not know what all this stuff is, and I it's very macro, and Twitter tends to be a very micro place with picking individual stocks, but you never know. Some of these stories could move the entire market, so they're always good to have one eye on them. Most of the stories do tend to come out in the morning Eastern time, so it tends to be a bunch of 8:30s, a bunch of 10 a.m.s, that type of thing. So if you're listening to this, you probably would be able to see the information that comes up and make quick changes, but not everyone could. So just be on the lookout for that on the mornings. And yeah, I think that's good for me for this section. Do we want to just go into Kathy Wood, or you got something to say, Gav?
Yeah, let's do Kathy.
All right, exciting. So we have ARK Invest. We have ARK Daily up here, which is my other account where I track Kathy Wood and all of the ARK Invest activity. I tweet out every single day what they're buying and what they're selling, and then it's that you can kind of get lost in what's happening. So I'm excited to be able to talk about more big picture and kind of how the entire ETFs are looking on these calls. So first of all, right now I'm gonna just go to my my pin tweet right now, which is the top 50 holdings of Kathy Wood and ARK Invest across all 6 of their ETFs combined. So this is something that I don't see too often, or pretty much ever, but more or less taking every single one of their 6 ETFs, combining them together and looking at how the ownership breaks out. When I did that, I found some really interesting numbers. I just want to roll through the top 12, which is she all owns $1 billion or more of. I should have the full number of the ETF of how much they have under management, but I could get that quickly and have it for you guys next time. But pretty much they own $3 billion of Tesla across their 3 ETFs. They own $2.2 billion of Square, 2.2 billion of Teladoc, 1.7 billion of Square, 1.6 billion of Shopify, and then 1.4 billion of Roku. So just do the top 5 there, which is very interesting. So top 5 names for Kathy: Tesla, Teladoc, Square, Shopify, Roku. Some interesting things that I'm noticing is seeing Coinbase actually come up very quickly. We know this was a sort of recent IPO, and Kathy has been buying aggressively. It is now the 10th largest holding across all of her ETFs, all the names in front of names like Spotify, CRISPR, C Limited, Palantir, DocuSign, Twitter. So she, definitely has the belief in Coinbase, and maybe it's the underlying belief in crypto as a whole, but she definitely owns some of that. So I just want to take a quick look at her moves from Friday. ARK Invest has kind of a predictable pattern where they'll kind of end the week a little bit slower. They don't normally tend to do too many buys on Friday, which was actually kind of cool. They got the trade notification out at a normal time. For anyone who doesn't follow them, they used to get it out at 6 p.m. It went all the way out to like midnight, and at one point they posted at 8 a.m. before the next trading day, which is crazy, but it seems like they're bringing it back. But some of the names they were buying on Friday was really Splunk, which they made a decent buy in ARKW. They added 120K shares of Splunk. That represented 0.4 of the ETF, so that is definitely a growing name in there. And then that was really the only other major move that was made. They did buy a little bit of JD for ARKF. They sold a little bit of Pure Storage for ARKW, but overall not a very busy day. I would be on the lookout for her moving more into some of her favorite names this week. I don't think there's been a time or whatever, a day that goes by where she doesn't add one of those super popular names. You guys know them: Coinbase, Unity has been in there recently, a couple others that she's been buying a bunch of. It was also interesting last week to see her buy the dip on DraftKings, which after the report that came out, the short seller report. So she definitely bought the dip on that. Trying to look at what else. Just take a quick look at her. We'll look at ARKK quickly in the top 10 holdings for that. I believe Coinbase is in there as well. So one thing that I want you guys to also look at, if you guys can do me a favor and put a little bit of research into this on the back end, is very interesting to me to see how correlated the top holdings across their ETFs are with the top holdings of RK. There's a couple names that kind of, aren't in RK that are up high, but it's pretty much just all of RK. And it's very interesting to see how much of her portfolio is how much of her total holdings is weighted in RK. So you guys can take a look at that, but pretty much the top holdings are very, very similar in both. Exact Science, JD, and a couple others are ones that are not in RK but still appear on the top 50 list. And yeah, I think that's some good coverage for Kathy for now.
Awesome. You want me to wrap it up?
Go for it.
Okay, so the wrap up that we have two things that are both crowdsourced, and I encourage everybody to participate more. We're going to be doing this every single week, and you can get a big shout out, right? We usually have over 100 people on here. So the market hustle is going to be our tweet of the week. This was put in by Stock Market News, but I will post every Saturday or Sunday. Drop your tweet of the week. You can just drop a tweet. They posted, I pinned it. It's the first pinned tweet up top. You can see it's basically how much you need to invest every year to become a millionaire. It's assuming an average return of 10% per year, but based on the fact that you can stake crypto for 9% guaranteed per year, I don't think it's super unrealistic. And I'm happy to do a chat on that another time, how I do that. But that is a tweet of the week. And then I threw up 2 memes of the week that you could check out. Again, these are crowdsourced. So for one of them is from Kaletso, who's definitely a fun person in my comments all the time. Basically just indicating how buying the dip has gone. So you can check that one out up top. And then the last one we have is going to be from Mike. That's Mennonite Mike. And that is a Dr. Parikh Patel meme, which you really can't go wrong by. So those are all pinned up top for your enjoyment. That is going to be a majority, I think, of everything for today. Just a heads up for this week. It's going to be a really busy week for spaces. So if that's your thing, if you're interested in spaces, I've got a bunch planned this week. So I'm going to run through those real quick. And then if Stock Market News has anyone, he can run through those. But essentially, tomorrow, I believe there's going to be multiple, actually. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST, there's going to be a space. I think this is a space covering Tether and Bitcoin. Basically, there's a lot of shady stuff going on around Tether, especially as Bitcoin moved into being a currency for a country. I believe that's in El Salvador. But I recommend coming to that space if you're curious about what is Tether and what is like the intricacies to Bitcoin. That is going to be at 8 p.m. EST tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, so that's not the space. On Wednesday is when that space is going to be at 8 p.m. EST, which means I have to figure out what the space is on Tuesday. I just have space on my calendar. It's very likely going to be, I'm just taking a look. Yeah, so this space that's going to be on Tuesday, I have no idea. I just know that there's a space at 8 p.m. On Wednesday, there's going to be a space at 8 p.m. covering Bitcoin and Tether. And then on Thursday, there's going to be a space at 5 p.m. EST. This is going to be a unique idea. So essentially, and you can reach out to me if you're interested in participating. What we're going to have is there's going to be 3 people, myself, Meme Investors, and Tyler Schwartz from Lex Invest. And we are going to be running basically a startup/idea pitch panel. So if you have a startup or an idea or something you want to get out there, you want to get eyes on it, maybe you're trying to raise funding, something along those lines, we're going to bring in a few different companies, as well as we're going to have an actual VC that will be in the space as a speaker listening. So that's an opportunity to come and really just pitch whatever you're working on and just talk about it. And that's going to be at 5 p.m. EST on Thursday, probably going to be about an hour. We'll probably have 2 to 3 in there. And then we'll ask some questions, just give some feedback. Maybe if we can make connections, we'll do something on those lines. I know I work within a startup, so I've got plenty of connections. And, if somebody really piques my eye, it never hurts to make an introduction. And then for Friday, I'm going to try my best to bring back the weekly howl, but I don't know if I'm going to do it at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. on Friday has become a very congested time, but I'm chatting with possibly Trust Fund Terry to be on that. So be on the lookout for something on Friday. So I basically will have a space every single day this week. So if you're following, you'll see them pop up. But this is one of my favorite spaces and a great way to kick off the week. So I'll turn it back to Stock Market News.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you, Gav. I'm always in those Twitter spaces. So guys, there's a reason me and Wolf did this together. I kind of asked him or whatever. And the reason I asked Wolf is because he's my favorite guy to host. I always love listening to his spaces. So pretty much anything that he puts up, I'm in there listening, so I would encourage you guys to do the same. I appreciate Parrot for coming out here. Awesome, man. Like I said, I've been following him. I think you're one of the first FinTwit accounts that I kind of connected with, and I'm very happy with that. I watched his portfolio grow from whatever it was to get over to $1 million, and it's back under a little bit. But if you guys want transparency, if you guys want to see how how a real investor is doing, definitely go follow Parrot. And a lot of the stuff that I'm working on right now, is still in the background. But I would encourage you guys to go and follow a new account that I am kind of working on and working with. It's called the Bullish Rippers, BullishRippers. If you guys follow me, you'll see me retweeting it a little bit. I am tweeting from that account for a little now, and there's some cool stuff coming on the back end of that. But if you guys are interested, I would definitely encourage you to go over there and follow and enjoy that.
Absolutely. Oh, and real quick update that I have. First off, I won't call him out by name, but shout out to my friend from Twitter Spaces who's in this space and listening. We love our friends at Twitter Spaces and appreciate them making this possible. On Tuesday at 8 p.m. is the Startup and Idea Pitch Space. So that is not on Thursday. I just got the message. It is on Tuesday, tomorrow, 8 p.m. BST. Be there, be square. That is what's going on. And then also myself and Stock Market News, I almost forgot to mention, on Thursday at 4 p.m. EST, we are doing an earnings space, right?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. For a second, I had no idea where you were going with that. But yeah, so he's actually in the crowd. News by Nick, if you guys want to give him a follow as well. But we're doing we're going live for Nike earnings. There's also some pretty cool earnings on there as well. Blackberry, FedEx doing some cool stuff with that. We got Wolf coming up. We got Lamonti. We got a really awesome crowd. I'm very, very excited for that one. It's hosted by News by Nick. You guys can see him in the crowd. He's listening. For me, I follow him, so he's pretty high to the top. But you can find him in there.
Absolutely. And I think that kind of covers everything. I got another meeting to hop to, and I got to hop to my team and chat with them for a few minutes first. So that is all from me. Once again, if you joined late, my name is Gav Blacksburg, and I'm the COO at Wolf Financial and the voice of Wolf Financial. And if you're interested in checking out what we are building at Wolf, which is hopefully one of the only finance apps you will ever need on your phone, trust in that. That is in my bio, link to download. It is completely free. And everybody who's up here, I think, has an account. And many people that I see in the crowd already have accounts. So I recommend checking that out. Parrot is one of our big Wolf guys. So thank you, Parrot. All right. I think that's going to cut it off for us today. Stock Market News, anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think I'm good. I'm awesome. Sure, I love getting ready for FinTwit for the week, and excited to do this again next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, just a note to everybody, this space was recorded by our good friend Josh Meltzer, who is an analyst at Wolf Financial. So we will try to have the recording up on the Wolf YouTube and Spotify within the next 24 to 36 hours. And you can find those on my pinned tweet. So if you heard something and you just, you missed it or something for a second, do not worry. You'll have the opportunity to check back on that. With that being said, have a fantastic rest of your Mondays, everybody. And I will be chatting with y'all soon. Take care.